浮気かどうかっていう、どう思いますか？イエスかノー、イエスかノーで。
ノ
ノー。
金払えばいいよって言ったことあります。
Recently, street
Let's go back. I didn't read that one. What did it say?
No.
Don't cheat on me. Just go to a brothel. As long as you pay, it's fine. That is crazy. It's crazy. Okay. I will start off, yes? I will start off by saying that is crazy. Am I surprised? Absolutely not.
Recently, street interviews have gone viral featuring Japanese people saying that cheating is okay. If you haven't seen this before, you're welcome for the culture shock. But there's more, because you have uni students in research papers going even further to say, well, everyone cheats, and husbands reflecting on their affairs, stating, if you want sex, that's where the girlfriend comes in. I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say
Reddit and Discord mods are so excited for this, aren't they? They're going wild, dude.
this kind of thinking and attitude towards cheating is not one you're familiar with. So where does this difference in value come from? And is there actually a cheating culture in Japan? To properly investigate this matter, I need to take you back in time to an era where Japan was genuinely chill with cheating. Cheating occurs when you're in an exclusive relationship and you have an emotional or sexual affair with someone who is not your partner. Now here's a question for you. What happens when you're in a committed relationship but you don't care for your partner at all?
Just break up with them, dude. Simple as that. Hold on. Clarification. Simple is different from easy. I'm saying it's simple. I'm not saying it's easy.
In ancient Japan, this was a common problem people faced because historically, commitments like marriage were not about love. The point of marrying someone was to form alliances between your families and to produce heirs. So it was almost like a business deal. Once you fulfilled your duties to your family, you would...
It's kind of like Korea. That sentence right there reminds me a lot about Korea. Samsung, LG... yeah, Samsung, LG, who else? KT, the cell phone company or the service company. So many of their heirs only marry for business deals. I will invest $50 million into your company if your son marries my daughter and you give me 2 sons.
then free to pursue your own individual desires, like finding passion or love. We can see this mindset very clearly during the Heian era in Japan. Among the Heian elite, married couples often stepped in separate residences, which made it really easy for other people to slip in and out of bedrooms without awkwardly encountering the wife or husband. It literally could not be easier to cheat. The Heian era was the most infamous time in Japan for cheating because it commonly occurred and because both men and women could cheat. As time progresses, we'll see cheating still occurs, but it becomes more and more of a thing only men could get away with. A few hundred years later, during the Tokugawa period, these restrictions came into place. If men from the elite class wanted to sleep around, they could do so, but these activities had to be within Yoshiwara, Japan's first legal red light district. For elite class women, it was frowned upon for them to seek other partners. Confucian thought, introduced through the text Onna Daigaku, or greater learning for women, required them to be faithful to only one husband. So, a double standard had emerged, and it was solidified during the Meiji era in the 19th century. The Japanese government implemented the IES system, emphasizing traditional household roles. Men went out to work, and women looked after the home.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of anime. You know those animes that are really degen? Like the ones where the one guy's like a turbo perv and he just wants a harem of women? Kind of makes sense now. It kind of makes sense. I had no idea that this dated this far back. But now that we know, I'm starting to see the lines.
This structural division justified a lot of the cheating that was conducted by men. Japanese men worked hard for their family, they were the breadwinner, so if they occasionally needed an outlet to relieve their stress, then they deserved it. But if a woman to cheat, she would be disrespecting her husband and her children. For a while during the Meiji era, there was even a law that stated a husband had the right to kill his wife and her lover if he found them committing adultery. With such biased laws and widespread justification for men to cheat, women were low-key gaslit into thinking affairs were acceptable husband behavior. Even if they didn't like it, there was little they could do to stop it. Public opinion was that it was fine, and before World War II, it was not uncommon for upper middle class men to have one or even two mistresses, as it was a sign of social prestige. At the time, the prevailing belief was if you couldn't keep a mistress, you were second rate. This double standard for cheating remained until after World War II. What changed? Well, political reforms and the introduction of Christian ideals during this time led to monogamy becoming the new.
Oh my god, is that a tier 3? Oh my god! Thank you! Oh my god, wait! Oh my god, thank you! Holy, how are we doing? Jesus Christ! This is normal activity. Educated and rich. Oh my Lord Almighty. Oh my goodness. Dude, we need to get a fucking jump on these rewards. I got nothing for this other than just saying thank you. Oh my god, I feel so bad. I feel so bad. I literally have nothing to show for this. I am so sorry. What? Oh my god.
New norm for both genders, and we can see this reflected in the law. Before 1948, under Japanese law, adultery was only about the sexual relationship of a married woman with another man. I know. So now applying the same standard to men signaled a huge change in values in Japanese society. And this is honestly a very recent development. It hasn't even been 100 years. Compare this to the ancient Greeks and Romans, first millennium Jews and Christians, medieval Catholics, early modern Protestants, where marital monogamy has been the mainstream in the West for millennia. Not only is there a stark difference between Japan and the West in adapting monogamy, Japan also differs from its East Asian neighbors. Yes, Confucian teaching of loyalty and faithfulness was introduced to Japan, but it was only really applied to women. The Confucian definition of marriage, a monogamous bond between a man and a woman, was never really adopted by the Japanese. And Japan's most popular religions, Buddhism and Shinto, didn't place as much emphasis on marriage or monogamy as Christianity did in the West, or as Confucianism did in East Asia. As you can see, these religious or philosophical differences played a very big role in emphasizing or not emphasizing marital monogamy. And
dude, I'm trying to really wrap my head around the whole. It's I don't even know how to describe it. It's I want to say
the grim mattered. Lectures were held to be skipped, assignments were made to be submitted late, and uni campus was a landmark, a place you saw once a while and never for a long time. This spirit of nothing matters seemed to be shared in Japan too, though slightly differently. Momoko, a 21-year-old student, cuts to the chase. Cheating is forgivable because we are still college students. This was her response to Kimura and Farah in their 2021 paper on how university students in Japan dealt with cheating. Most responses in the paper said cheating was common, and nearly every respondent justified it as a product of youth. It's a rather grim image. There's a shared belief among these respondents that because they're young, relationships aren't that serious anyways, and it's not like you're thinking about marriage, so cheating is more acceptable.
Okay, now I remember what I was going to say. What I was going to say in response to this was that cheating is something that people associate with relationships. So my response to this is just don't get into a relationship. People are going to judge you for whatever you do. If you decide to meet with a lot of guys, if you want to mess around with a lot of guys or a lot of girls, at most people are going to think you're weird. Go ahead and do that. But if you want to get into a relationship, you know what I mean? And then you cheat after that, that is just, I don't even need to think of some sort of creative way to describe it. It is quite literally just very stupid. Just because you don't think about everything you sign up for doesn't mean that it's gone. When you get into a relationship, call me crazy, If you get into a relationship, you are not allowed to cheat. Doesn't change the fact that a lot of people still do it, but the expectation is there. So yeah.
May, a 22-year-old cheated, says, because I am a university student, I do not need to have a very serious relationship. Basically, I started infidelity with a light heart. And I have a confession to make. I've cheated too. On my study schedule. Yeah, I set all these goals for myself, like get fluent in a language, but how am I going to get fluent if I'm always on YouTube or TikTok instead of actually studying? Well, something that's worked for me is to not force myself to open a textbook and start drilling vocab. That sounds horrible. App, grammar courses, and more place unacceptable, but I do need to emphasize the study looked only at those who had cheated or were the third person or were cheated on. It's a very specific demographic, so we can't assume the views and experiences being shared here reflect the experiences and thoughts of the broader population. Still, these responses offer some insightful perspectives. Respondents who cheated often minimize the behavior by rationalizing and justifying it, saying it's not a big deal, we're still young, and everyone does it. Despite this, there were still
just because everybody does it doesn't mean it's right nor acceptable.
Respondents in the same study who stated cheating was morally unacceptable and a deal breaker. Daiki, a 22-year-old who was cheated upon, says, yeah, I'm the type that doesn't forgive stuff like that. I'd kind of just immediately lose feelings for her. Many respondents who were cheated on broke up with their partner because they had the idea of once a cheater, always a cheater. And I know this is something that splits the room, so let me know in the comments below if you agree with it. Because we can even see a clear divide here in this study. There were those who thought cheating was okay, mostly the cheaters, and those who thought it should never happen, and they were usually the ones who got cheated on. When it comes to the street interviews, I suspect we're seeing a similar occurrence here. Those who cheat or have cheated will likely minimize their behavior, saying it's okay and it's common. But the part that seemed to shock people the most from these street interviews was how chill Japanese women seem to be with the idea of their partner saying a prostitute. So we're going to address this, and this is where all that historical context we looked at comes in handy. Remember, it wasn't until very recently, until after World War II, that the idea of monogamy was enforced in Japan for both genders. So for centuries prior, Japanese women would know their husbands were cheating on them, having affairs or visiting prostitutes to relax after work, and they could do absolutely nothing about it. Of course, things have changed now, but the ways of thinking or societal expectations can still linger. Many of these female respondents say they're fine with their partner seeing a prostitute, but are they really okay with it? Or is there still social pressure in being a chill girl because just 2 generations ago men could cheat and women were okay with it? Take a look.
This reminds me a lot about the whole being okay with something and making sure other people know that you're okay with it even though you're not. I feel like this is particularly a very Asian thing to do. Like even I still struggle with this when it comes to my relationship with my parents. Like one of the things that I can tell you guys is that I've been thinking about getting like a tattoo, right? And in Asian culture, oh shit, no. You get a tattoo. And I've been told by older generations of conservative Asians that if you get a tattoo, your body is dirty. And I'm sitting here like, what? I just want to get something like on me. Like, what do you mean I'm dirty now? Like, it's very weird. You know what I mean? So it's like, but whenever I try to bring this up, they always like shut it down immediately. And to avoid the argument, to avoid the ass whooping, you kind of just have to sit there and say, oh, okay, I'm sorry, mom and dad. I'll be the good Christian conservative boy that you guys always wanted me to be. I will never do anything that crosses the line. I will do everything in my life that appeases you guys. I will live according to your expectations, and I will make sure you guys will never see me be frustrated or anything like that ever. You know what I mean? And it builds up a lot. And that's not just a Korean thing. This is, I think, this exists. Okay, first of all, this exists all over the world. Okay, this is not a like solely purely Asian thing. I just think this is more common in Asia. And this isn't just a Korean thing either. It's just in all of Asia. Again, it exists all over the world. It just happens. It seems way more prevalent in Asia.
at the reason why this respondent thinks prostitution is not cheating.
風俗に行くことは浮気かどうかっていう、どう思いますか？イエスかノー、イエスかノーで。
ノ
ノー。
全然嫌ではあります。
いや。なるほど、なるほど。じゃあ、自分が重いって思われたくないっていうのを理由に浮気だとは思わないっていうことです。なるほど。
It's easy for us in the West to assume that not seeing a prostitute is the bare minimum. In fact, if that were a requirement, the bar is truly in hell. But the same privilege is not so readily afforded to Japanese women. The relationship between cheating and societal expectations
You've
gets
also been banned
even
from getting a
deeper when you
tattoo.
look at the generation above. If you weren't shocked already by what you have seen, hold on.
You remember what I said? I think I said it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission. It probably won't change the fact that mom was gonna pull out the slipper, but I feel like if you are gonna get a tattoo and your parents are passionately against it, you might as well just get it and then just force them to deal with it later. Like at some point they have to accept it. Right? I hope so.
Tight, because for this generation, cheating is often not the problem, it's the solution. In CNN's 2019 docuseries on sex and love around the world, Japanese respondents share their views on love, marriage, and affairs. One Japanese woman declares, "I love my husband and I love my boyfriend. What's wrong with that?" In Sakoto Sayaka's book on marriage infidelity in Japan, she notes that Japanese men liked how their wife did the housework and understood their role at work. As for their mistress, Japanese men liked her appearance and the sex they shared. For Japanese women though, everything about the new guy was better. His personality, his appearance, his hobbies, the sex, there was nothing the husband could offer that was better. Damn, that's brutal. But this
You know what is the next thing that I'm starting to think about now that she drew the comparison as to like the guy's perspective and the girl's perspective? Do you guys know how work culture in Asia is like turbo toxic? I think in China, what is it? They call it it's a series of 3 numbers. I think, is it 11-11-6? You work from 11 a.m. to, 7-7-6? You work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. No, that doesn't sound right. Okay, basically, it's like, for example, you work from, let's say, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 6 days of the week. Because I think in China, that is seen as like the golden standard of work ethic and like company loyalty. And then in Japan you have stuff like, oh hey, we have such a dedicated work culture that our employees will sleep at the office, or they'll fall asleep at the computer, or they will sleep on the street and then they will go back to work the next morning. And then in Korea, I'm a bit more knowledgeable in Korea, is that the culture over there, albeit it is changing, but before the change started happening, in order for you to show your dedication to the company, the main way to do that is by going to after work drinking parties and getting shit-faced. Because every single time your superior said cheers, or John, right? John. And they say, drink, 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 drink. You have to drink. Because if you don't, do you know how they see it? They see it as a turbo ultra mega fuck you. And then you're sitting there being like, what the fuck did I do? How dare you not take a shot? How dare you prioritize your liver over the company profits and this and that and so then, alcoholism starts, and eventually in China, Korea, Japan, or any other place, I think it builds up. It builds, and you don't want, and eventually I think people reach a point where they don't want a long-term solution because it takes too much effort and they're too stressed and too sleep deprived. So what do they do? They want instant gratification. So I think it makes sense what she just said. So if the lady is experiencing this, she says, I don't want to work things out with my man. I'm tired. I'm stressed. I want fun right now. Oh, hey, there's this taller, stronger, richer, funnier guy that's giving me attention. And you know what? I'm gonna roll with it. Because if I roll with it, he's gonna spoil me, he's gonna make me feel good, he's gonna make me laugh, and the sex is gonna be amazing. It's instant gratification. You can get all of that one night without putting in nearly any extra effort. The husband can do the exact same thing. It's literally just instant gratification. You know, they say never put a Korean and Chinese businessman in the same room because the Chinese culture, they just keep filling up the cups. In Korean culture, they have to drink them all. Cultural conflicts are a bitch.
Raises the question. I mean, I guess with Japanese men, they might keep their wife around so someone does all the laundry and the dishes. But what is making Japanese women stay if their lover is better in every single way? Well, there's two parts to Japanese culture here that explains why people who cheat often would rather keep cheating than get a divorce. And that's gaman culture and shogunai. Gaman culture is a Japanese concept where one endures hardship without complaints. It's deeply ingrained in Japanese culture, and if you've heard of Japan's long working hours, gaman culture is what pushes workers to endure such brutal conditions. In the same way, it may encourage those in unhappy marriages to keep sticking it out even if they want a different life or a different partner.
That is still bullshit. That is 100% bullshit. I understand it is their culture, and there's really not much I can do to change it. But putting my opinion out there because I'm reacting to this video, it's very sad that they think like that. Because I am of the opinion that if you have old values, just because they're old doesn't necessarily mean it's best for you, especially with everything changing nowadays. Expectations have changed. I remember one of the craziest conversations and quote unquote crash outs that I've had with my parents was when my mom and dad realized that people my age or Gen Z's generation, right? They do hookups. That was like atom bomb went off in their head. They could not understand that, and they thought that was the worst thing ever. But then to me, I'm like, that's pretty normal. You know, you're out and about, you're in college, you go to a club with someone, your like dorm mates or whatever, and then you see a person you like, they like you back, go have some fun. But they said, no, you can't do that. Back in our generation, and then I'm sitting here being like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right then and there, right in your tracks. So it's just old values, I think, just don't have a place anymore because the circumstances have changed. Those old values were formed during the circumstances of whatever time period they came from. So as time goes on and on and on, they become less applicable. Sure, they can make sense. That doesn't mean they should be applied every single time. So it low-key makes me sad that these people that subscribe to this idea of gaman are literally voluntarily like cucking themselves, being like, I want a better life, I want to pursue things that I like, but gaman told me to just thug it out and keep working for this toxic company where I work there for 6 days a week for like 12 hours a day. Because of the Ellen show, all of Korea knows what hooked up means now. Ellen has done irreparable damage to her reputation and to... Actually, I don't really know. All I know is that people don't really like Ellen anymore. I don't really watch her that much. The last time I watched the Ellen show was when she got that... I think it was a kid doing that one dance. You know that one dance called like Juju on that beat or something like that? Dude, that was old. That's the last time I heard of Ellen. And now, didn't she move to the UK with her wife or something because they hate Trump? Or... I don't know.
Another trait stemming from gaman culture is the attitude of shogunai, or it can't be helped. Basically, it is what it is. And if you remember the girl from earlier, she actually expresses this exact attitude when asked about her partner seeing a prostitute.
嫌だけど しょうがないかなって思っちゃう。
しょうがない。
しょうがない。
When given a chance to elaborate, she confesses she doesn't like her partner going to see a prostitute. And let's be honest here, who would? But she still says it's
Cox.
fine because it
Cox
can't
would
be
love
helped.
that.
Gaman culture and this attitude of it can't be helped when applied to a marriage often leads to couples staying together even when they're deeply unhappy because it's expected of them. And also because the family unit, the kids, and social appearances, all of this is often considered more important than individual happiness.
Did your husband know? No. What would you do if you found out? Divorce? No. Why?
子供たちが
So you're happy now?
Yes.
In these cases, quietly cheating often becomes the solution instead of the problem. Again, please note that in a happy marriage, this obviously does not apply. And cheating does come with consequences in Japan. It's not as trivial as these respondents would make it seem. For example, Carolina Shino, crowned Miss Japan in 2024, had to return her title after it was revealed that she had an affair with a married man.
Wait, really?
Return. For example, Carolina Shino, crowned Miss Japan in 20.
Okay, right when I heard that sentence, I thought she had to return her title because she got into trouble because she won the title of Miss Japan even though she's not Japanese. She's not Japanese, right? Maybe she's mixed? It was because she was rude to BTS and she asked them if they hooked up with the fans. That is just invasion of personal space. I wouldn't be surprised if famous celebrities, singers, rappers, musicians, if they hooked up with fans. That's none of your business, though. It's kind of weird to ask that in front of millions of fans, right? She has to be mixed. I don't really watch the whole like Miss Universe shows or like the like Miss Australia, Miss America, like Miss India or Miss Mexico or whatever. But judging from what the situation I thought this was, I feel like if you win the title of Miss Insert Country here, I feel like you need to be of that country's ethnicity. Is that a hot take? Am I just completely out of touch with reality by saying something like that? I think if you want to win the title of Miss India, for example, you should be Indian. I don't think it would make sense for a Korean person living in India to win the title of Miss India. Am I crazy for thinking that? Is that just unreasonable? Am I old-fashioned? Because I don't think I am. But I mean, I guess in the context of this video, it doesn't really matter because the drama wasn't about this. She cheated on a married man.
2024 had to return her title after it was revealed that she had an affair with a married man. Yaguchi Mori, Becky, Watabe Ken are all famous Japanese public figures whose careers took a hit after news of them having affairs or being involved in one came out. Cheating is not more common in Japan than in other countries. It's simply the attitude around cheating that catches us off guard. Many viewers who see these videos may leave with the impression that there is a cheating culture in Japan, but that is simply wrong. These responses, which can be easily misunderstood, have to be interpreted within the context of Japanese society, culture, and history. Behind the nonchalant attitudes displayed here is a long history of patriarchal laws that have shaped and guided the Japanese, particularly women, on what to expect from a relationship. And with the older generation, cheating can be viewed as the easier alternative than splitting up and dealing with the social consequences. Nevertheless, Japan is no better or worse at cheating than other countries. While infidelity exists in Japan, it is not truly acceptable in the eyes of most Japanese people, nor is there a culture that celebrates or encourages cheating. Viral content wouldn't be viral if the responses weren't shocking. While some Japanese may normalize cheating, the majority still value trust and fidelity in their relationship.
I absolutely love what she said right there. Did you guys catch that?
While some Japanese people, nor is there a culture that celebrates or encourages cheating. Viral content wouldn't be viral if the responses weren't shocking.
Exactly. The reason why clips like these get millions of views or like hundreds of thousands of views is because this is unexpected. People are not going to be surprised by something that is so commonplace. Like if everybody knew that cheating was accepted in this country and you decided to do a street interview, I don't think any of the answers are going to surprise anybody, so people wouldn't click. Like, I wouldn't click on a YouTube video that said, did you know that 1 + 1 is 2? I'm like, yeah, I knew that already. But I would be more likely to click on a YouTube video that said, did you know 1 + 1 is 3? Because it doesn't make sense to me. It's kind of shocking. So I'm like, okay, I'm kind of curious because that's not normal to me. I also want to say, I feel like when it comes to these street interviews, you also got to be conscious of where you're doing these interviews. Because Japan definitely has a red light district. Amsterdam is a red light district. I mean, there are red light districts everywhere. If you go to a place that is known to be a bit more promiscuous and you ask people their opinions on sexy activities, I wouldn't really think you should be surprised when people give non-conventional answers. You know what I mean?